Hi, I'm Van Phillips, European Tour winner and PGA coach, and in today's lesson I want to help you guys to stop fanning that club face open in the takeaway and hitting those high right slices. Okay, before I get stuck in, I just want to stress that if you check out my myths video series where I go into the relative unimportance or insignificance of backswing positions, whether we open the club or keep it shut, I want to get into in this video how, if you have tried, let's say you are somebody that does open the club face a lot in the backswing, before we start dealing with this and attempting to change that, I'd like you first to realize that you can still hit the ball straight if you do that, as long as you match it with an aggressive re-rotation of the forearms into impact. So if you're somebody that opens that club face a lot in the takeaway, before you start messing around with the takeaway, please go and watch my myths video series, and I'd like you to first just try to compensate for that by simply being more aggressive, trying to rotate those forearms more back into impact to square the face. Lots of great players do that. Webb Simpson, Brandon Grace, just a couple of great players there to prove that point. However, if you have tried that and you just can't square that club face up and you're still losing shots to the right, then it's worth trying to address this issue and trying to keep the club face a little bit squarer in the takeaway. So what I'm really talking about here, I'd like to go into a bit more detail for you guys, is when you excessively rotate the forearms and club face in the takeaway here and you're really fanning that club face open, obviously that will require, as I've just said, a much more aggressive re-rotation into impact. So if you're unable to do that and you've tried it, I'd like to iron this takeaway out for you. So what I want to stress first and what I want to focus on first is the lead wrist. So when you're at address here, I want you to put your awareness into the lead wrist angle. Okay, for me it's the left wrist, and there's an angle in the wrist. It doesn't matter if you've got a weak grip or a strong grip, there will be some angle in that lead wrist that I want you to put your attention towards. And quite simply, point number one is I'd like you to try and sweep the arms away from the ball until the hands get beyond the rear thigh without changing whatever wrist angle you had at address. So put your awareness into that wrist angle, sweep those arms away without changing that lead wrist angle. Okay, so that's tip number one. That's going to help you to keep that club face in a squarer position initially in that takeaway there. Okay, now nothing's to say that you won't then open it on the way to the top, but there's a lot less chance of you doing that if you keep it square in that initial 2 or 3 feet of the backswing. Okay, point number two, I'd like you to then put your awareness into your trunk, okay, somewhere just above the belly button, and as you are sweeping those arms away, I'd like you to sense that you're doing that in effect with your body and not just an independent arm movement. So I want you to feel that connection between the trunk rotating and really the trunk moving the arms back and not the other way around. I don't want you to keep that trunk facing the ball and just move the arms there without any body motion. I'd like you to feel like the body actually initiates the whole movement and the arms are really just going along for the ride. Final point, I'd like you to feel at address that there's a connection between your upper lead arm, somewhere between mid bicep and shoulder, and your pec, okay? So you're feeling this connection here, and I'd like you to maintain that connection. As you wind that torso away from the golf ball, I'd like you to have an awareness that you've kept that connection between the upper arm and the lead pec there. Now, if you can work on those 3 things separately in the beginning, putting your awareness into each one, ultimately you'll find you'll be able to actually blend it into one general feeling. So you'll have an awareness of lead wrist, you'll be aware of that connection between lead arm and pec, and then you can really focus a little bit more on the trunk initiating that movement, and that's just going to keep that club face pointing at the golf ball in effect for a bit longer. Okay, it's going to stop that face from fanning open and starting to point way out to the right there, it's going to keep it pointing a little bit more down towards the ball, so in effect keeping it squarer to the target. I'm going to go ahead and hit this one now in full speed, and then I'm going to put 2 slow motion swings, one from down the line and one from face on, and I just want you to pay attention to how one piece my takeaway is and how passive that lead wrist is in that takeaway movement. We'll go ahead and hit. This is a 9-iron into the 18th green at Stoke Park here. Just pay attention in full speed first and then slow motion. Nice neutral shot. Let's get into the slow motions. Okay, so pay attention to those 3 keys, watch those slow-mos as many times as you need to, and you'll see that I am actually executing those 3 things fairly well, and I hit the ball fairly neutrally. I've never been a great shaper of the ball, it's always been quite a straight neutral ball flight, and I do find that that takeaway has helped me to achieve that. Hope you're enjoying these videos. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and head over to my website where there really is a wealth of information on there. 35 years of my research, playing with the best in the world and being taught by the best in the world. I've gleaned all that information and I've put it on that website for you.